Welcome to the channel, y'all. Hope y'all are doing good today because what I'm about to share is easily one of the wildest stories I have ever been a part of. We are talking friendships shattered, secrets exposed, cheating, betrayal, emotional manipulation, all wrapped up in a Discord friend group during the peak of the Among Us era during COVID a few years back. So go ahead and grab a drink, grab a snack, grab whatever you need, relax, and let's get into it. About 3 years ago, Among Us was everywhere. When I'm talking everywhere, I mean it blew up. It's all over streams, it's all over YouTube, it's all down my timelines. Everybody's just playing the game, having a good time. I was in college at the time. I was juggling classes, work, and trying to stay afloat financially. I'd always wanted to get into PC gaming, but I grew up without access to anything, pretty poor kid. Anything that could run real games or like actually game at the quality that I liked. And I started with browser games like Y8, Pop Tropica, Club Penguin, Roblox, Fantage, if anybody remembers that game, even Wizard 101. But when I got back to school after the pandemic shut down, I had nothing but a busted MacBook, a PS4, and a tiny old, not box TV, but one of those thicker flat screen TVs. And MacBooks are absolutely garbage for gaming. I don't know if you all know this, but they are extremely limited. In this, I found a way to run Among Us using an app called BlueStacks. Now, if you ever played Among Us solo with no voice chat, you understand and know how dry and boring that experience is. And kind of toxic. I went on and I discovered Discord, hopped into public VCs, and eventually found my way into a private server run by somebody who we'll call Slicer, where I met this core friend group. At first, it was chill. We all loved playing Among Us, other games together. We all just vibed, and the energy was genuinely great. People came and they went, but the server started forming a tight-knit little crew. When Slicer got tired of running things, ownership was passed to someone else we will call, for this story's sakes, Sour. And that, my friends, is where things started going downhill. Now, Sour was okay at first. She kept things running smoothly, but as people returned to real life after the lockdown, the group shrank down to the real ride or die players. That final core group became somewhat of me, myself, Sour's boyfriend, who we're going to call Robin, Cougar, who was dating another person in the group, who we'll call Mr. Neckbeard, and Sauce Man. Eventually, we moved beyond Among Us, playing games like Jackbox, Minecraft, all types of other games and stuff we got into. Eventually, Robin and Sour decided they were going to have their wedding in Texas and finally get married. Since Robin, Sour, and Sauce Man all knew each other in real life already, they invited a few of us to join them for the wedding. Someone else, who were called Mr. Pancake Man, was also originally invited. He dropped out after a fallout with the group, didn't really want to come anymore. They offered me the spot instead, and I was hyped. I flew in from Arizona to celebrate, crashed at the Airbnb that they decided to give for us, and joined the group for some 4th of July fireworks and activities for the time. So let's get to the rise, the wedding itself. Honestly, very beautiful, cozy, fun, super welcoming wedding. It was really, really a trip. We ate, we drank, we laughed, and we celebrated hard. But even before the trip, cracks were forming in the group. During one Among Us game where Cougar had a few drinks, she confessed to having feelings for both myself and Sour. Mind you, she was already dating Mr. Neckbeard, so that was pretty awkward, to say the least. I, myself, kind of brushed it off and agreed to keep our distance just in case, things got a little weird. And that's when I found out the dynamic between Robin and Sour was kind of openish. Sour was allowed to hook up with other women, but Robin was not allowed to mess with anyone else unless she gave the okay. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the Airbnb. We're having an absolute blast, a great time with everybody, playing board games, playing Monopoly, going out, going to lake and kayaks, and just having a good time. Sour and Cougar started messing around very loudly in the same spaces as all of us were sleeping. One of them even used Sauce Man's bed. And then Sour and Cougar started messing around pretty loudly, mind you. So they were in their bedroom, they were outside on the couch, which actually was the bed of Mr. Sauceman. And basically just like we're putting us in pretty uncomfortable situations. I'm not gonna lie, I was also uncomfortable. Hey, they're grown, they can do what they want. I stayed out of it. Then came the twist. One morning, Robin and Cougar were caught laid up together. Now, I don't know if anything actually happened, but Sour flipped out. She claimed she saw them naked, pretty much spooning together. Whatever details there were are kind of foggy to me because I wasn't in the room. I didn't really, engage with that type of ordeal. In that, she became pretty rageful. That was crystal clear. From there, things pretty much just spiraled on from there. So let's get to the fall. The rest of the trip was pretty tense between everybody. Arguments between Robin, Sour, and Cougar pretty much broke out every other day or every night when we started to drink. Cougar claimed Mr. Neckbeard was fine with her hooking up with Sour, which ultimately was a lie. And once he found out from Robin, who decided to go ahead and tell them all the business and news, which he didn't have to, but as a good friend, you probably would too. There was a nuclear fallout. Nasty messages, nasty words, betrayal, a total breakdown of trust between everybody. Before flying home myself, we all tried to have, some few fun times before everybody left, and generally just try to keep everything pretty leveled and calm. Sauce Man and I talked to Robin about how uncomfortable things were between all of us, and we told him he needed to set some boundaries and kind of toughen up and put his foot down. Of course, he didn't. Eventually, the couple kicked Cougar from the server, and I hosted everybody else in my server to keep the group kind of together. At that point, Cougar started spinning false narratives, claiming things happened without her consent, and drama just continued to explode. Things really snapped during a game night where someone called Sauceman a pedo as a joke. It wasn't funny either, and I don't think they were joking, but I knew it wasn't true, and I defended him. They're not gonna just sit there slander friends of mine and think you're just gonna, think I'm okay with it. And suddenly, I was also kicked from the original server. Some messages were exchanged between me and Sour, and she explained that she never actually really liked me and only tolerated me because I was Robin's friend. So that pretty much hurt me more than I'd like to admit, because I spent a lot of time with these people. I was always there pretty much every day. These are people that I literally hung out with almost every day. Meanwhile, Sauce Man started dating a close friend of Sour, who we're going to call, for the sake of the video, Katniss. Another real life friend who actually knew Sour, back in the day, went to school with her. And Sour didn't like that. Her and Sauce Man had their issues in the past, and they re-arised after the whole drama of the situation because of everything they kind of put him through. And she eventually gave Katniss an ultimatum. Either pick her or pick Sauce Man. So Katniss chose love, and Sour lost her mind. Also, real quick, I eventually removed Cougar from the server myself after the false narratives were spent. False allegations were pretty damaging, and I couldn't deal with the extra drama. At that point, the entire friend group was pretty much in shambles, and it was ruined. So let's get to the aftermath of everything. Robin and Sour pretty much disappeared from Discord for a while. I hadn't seen them in, I want to say, maybe a month. Then we found out they were hanging out with Mr. Neckbeard in a different server that I was not invited to. Now, mind you, this was before I was kicked eventually from the original server, so we're going to keep that in mind. But eventually, we were all iced out one by one. The drama continued behind closed doors. Arguments, bitterness, paranoia, just basically talking behind people's back and not allowing them the space to opportunity to talk it out. Sauce Man and Katniss were pretty happy together, but they weren't exactly spared either. Sour called Katniss a traitor, tried to isolate her, and doubled down on controlling everyone around her. And that's something we ultimately started to see for what it was. She was extremely controlling, demanding, and kind of manipulative. Just genuinely things that make you a narcissist. Just a whole narcissistic personality disorder. And of course, I stood up for my friends. I didn't allow any slander or bad talk and wanted them to, kind of talk it out and get through it. But I ultimately also paid the price. I got blocked, ghosted, kicked, and that was that. And it's been 3 years since then. I barely speak to anyone from that group besides Katniss, Sauce Man, and a few others that are, were in the group before, but kind of just like fell off and didn't really play the game as much. And honestly, I do not in the slightest regret stepping away. There were things that were said, there were things that were done that were just not acceptable. The dynamic between the two became extremely toxic. And even now, there are more people that have brought into their group that have also felt the same way. The group was extremely controlling, demanding, and got toxic. Even at one point, one of the people from their newer group came to my server and, well, not to my server, she came to my stream, live on stream, and told me that, you know, Sour was doing the same things.
Is this nigga serious?
Being controlling, being toxic, and actually had an affair with Mr. Neckbeard. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I had already stepped away. I told her, I'm like, I don't really care. That's not my business. And they can do whatever they want. They're adults. If they want to figure it out, they can. So that's pretty much the gist of the whole situation. So here's the takeaway from the lessons that I learned. Watch who you call your friends. Don't let emotional manipulation disguise itself as a real connection. Never let somebody control you with their chaos. Don't let them give you ultimatums of what you can do with your own life. And if you feel disrespected, speak up. Don't let them continue that. If they don't fix it, leave. But meeting my Discord friends was absolutely amazing. But it came with a price, like all things do. And in the end, the biggest lesson I learned is that real friendship should bring peace, not drama, not pain, not anything negative. That is going to be the end of the video though, guys. If you all like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And definitely think about hitting that notification bell so y'all get notified whenever I drop content like this. Also, check out my gaming channel. I'm trying to hit 500 subs before the end of the year. And I kind of wanted to separate my content, do some different things, have story times and some other like actual personal content here. I kind of do like to use my voice. I like speaking. I've been told I have a awesome speaking voice, a radio voice, all types of things. So I'm trying to use that a little bit more. So thank you all so much for watching this far. You are the real MVPs, and I will catch y'all in the next one.